Hello, I'm your host, Jonathan Miller, and I'm joined by Rob Chang, CEO of Gryphon Mining. They are a private company going public soon, and they are focused on Bitcoin mining. Rob, would you like to elaborate a little bit more on that? And also, thank you for joining us here today.
Well, thanks for having me, and love to. So, Gryphon Digital Mining, we are looking to go public within the next few months, hopefully late summer, early fall. What we are is an ESG-focused Bitcoin miner. We've been in business for about 2 years, and some few highlights, ESG-focused. We are 100% carbon neutral. In fact, carbon negative when you factor in the fact that we have carbon offset credits that we use, but we don't really need for main operations. And on top of that, we also have been mining Bitcoin since September of 2021 and are among the most efficient Bitcoin miners. In fact, we've been top 3 in terms of Bitcoin efficiency since inception and generally number 1. In fact, the last 12 months, we were number 1 9 out of the last 12 months.
That's excellent. What's the process that effectively renders it carbon neutral?
For us, we use electricity is usually the main thing, and we use 100% hydro powered at our host facilities.
Oh, wow.
It's carbon neutral right off the bat.
Taking advantage of hydro. That's great.
Exactly.
What's your background? How'd you get involved in all this?
I was an analyst before. I was the managing director, head of metals and mining research at Cantor Fitzgerald for almost close to a decade. And what happened was I was covering commodities. I was the commodity analyst there. And I noticed that some of the investors that I really respected started allocating small portions of their portfolio into Bitcoin, which made me think, wow, what is this? And maybe I should take a look at it. Did some research and realized that this is going to be a world-changing technology, and decided, I promised teenage Rob that the next time something like the internet happens, where something was world-changing, jump in.
Not missing the boat.
Not missing the boat. So I honored the commitment I made to myself, dropped everything. It just so happened that an investor of mine was connected to a company called Riot Blockchain that was going to go public at that time. And lo and behold, it became the first publicly traded Bitcoin miner and was the largest for quite a while. So I got to parachute in at the top and got to learn and cut my teeth from the very best.
Wow, I love it. Now, you mentioned a little bit about being carbon neutral, using hydroelectric energy. What are some other competitive advantages the company has?
Oh, well, outside of being ESG focused and being carbon neutral, what we also have is a legitimate focus towards proper governance. Brittany Kaiser, who is our chair, was actually the whistleblower for Cambridge Analytica. So while many companies will talk about being ESG focused, we actually have someone who I would say is the poster child for proper governance. So that's one of it. The other part too is that we have a legitimate focus towards being blue chip and running the company from a long-term perspective. So looking at the team, myself, former CFO of Riot, Chief Chris Ency, who is our chief technical advisor, was also with me at Riot. He was the COO and interim CEO for quite a while. He also has experience with other large Bitcoin miners, such as including myself. And then we look at outside of the board, which includes Brittany, of course, who is great. We also have Steve Gutterman, who was a senior person at E-Trade Bank. We have Heather, who is a board member of NRG, which is electricity. So we have good people in senior roles at businesses that have direct relations with our company. So we believe that we have a strong team, and the proof again is in the pudding. As I mentioned, we're the best efficiency in terms of Bitcoin mining, and also from capital deployment. And that's another thing I want to highlight is it's only costed us about $47 a terahash to build our business, whereas the global average is around over 100.
Wow!
And so we've been very efficient on managing our investors' money.
That's excellent. Outside of ESG and efficiency, how do you measure your successes? What are some of your key performance indicators?
Yeah, so I've been talking about a lot, so I'll keep talking about it again. It's the Bitcoin efficiency is probably number 1. It effectively is how many Bitcoin you generate over the amount of hashing power you have. The best way to think about it for people who are not familiar is think about it as sales divided by number of stores you have. So you should have more sales the more stores you have, but for some reason, some companies will have lower sales from that perspective. And so I think that's an important metric that we focus on. And we've been number 1 for quite a while doing that. So is that, and of course, as I mentioned before, capital use. In any hot industry, you're going to see a lot of players come into the space trying to get a very high stock price and not necessarily caring so much about operations. We're operations focused. And one of the big parts of that is when an investor gives us money, how do we spend it? And as I said, it's cost us $47 a terahash to do that. On average, it's over 100 for everyone else. And it's us not pulling the trigger on expensive things and just sitting back and understanding that it will come down, just like machine purchases, for example. We recently bought some machines at very low, near historical low prices, whereas many of our peers were more eager and bought at higher prices. And they've suffered a little bit because the value of those machines have gone down since then.
It pays to be patient sometimes, right?
It certainly does.
And so outside of going public in the coming months, what else is on the horizon in the forward-looking future, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, well, we're always looking to grow. So as we go public, we'll have a public currency we'll be able to hopefully acquire some of the smaller businesses. Like, we're at a point now where there's been a hot market and people have either done well or are struggling in the Bitcoin mining space. It's kind of binary now. And so those who may be struggling a little bit might want to get out. And so with a public currency, with our NASDAQ listed stock, once we get it, we'll be able to trade some equity, pick up their businesses, hopefully for pennies in the dollar. So we're looking to grow that way. And of course, it's an arms race. Bitcoin mining is a competitive sport, so to speak. And buying more machines, getting more facilities is always going to be on the horizon, and we'll certainly do that. But even stepping a little further, because you did say 3 to 5 years, I wouldn't be opposed to finding other opportunities and using Bitcoin mining as a starting point to leverage into other areas of the blockchain. It's still an idea right now, but why can't we be the Google of Bitcoin, whereby Google started with search and expanded to all sorts of different things? Why can't Gryphon Digital Mining start off in Bitcoin mining and use that as a basis to do other things in the blockchain space? Because it's a very new technology. Lots of different things can happen. And who knows, that might be something else entirely different that we could leverage off of.
It definitely sounds promising. You know, Bitcoin and Bitmining are all the hype right now. Where can the audience follow along with your story and communicate with you?
Yeah, well, our website is gryphondigitalmining.com. We're also on Twitter, as well as under Gryphon Mining. And so we'd be happy to engage with our investors or anyone interested.
Rob Chang, CEO of Gryphon Digital Mining, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.